Hello and welcome. I am Carissa with Cook with a Shoe, which is a personal finance blog, and I share my story of becoming debt-free while paying cash for my husband's education. And I am here to serve you by teaching you the value of living life on a shoestring budget by choice so that you can gain control of your money and reach your financial goals. Today, I am thrilled to host a Money Wins interview with my friend Debbie from DebbieInShape.com. Debbie is just an amazing woman that I've met in the last couple months, and she just passed her 6-month mark in her recovery from a brain tumor. But she also leaves the sweetest comments on my posts about budgeting and paying off debt. And she says she's still learning a lot from my blog, even though she's always been good with money and she has no debt. I also learned that Debbie has worked her way through college and paid for her school with cash. So today I brought Debbie in so we could find out more about her money wins and get tips on how to better handle money. Welcome, Debbie.
Oh, thank you very much. Such a cute introduction. Thank you so much. I'm honored. I really love visiting your blog, and it's a pleasure for me to be here with you. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Debbie. That means a lot to have you be a follower. Now, first tell me a little bit about your background with money, and how have you been? Have you always been really good with handling money, or just kind of tell me where you started from?
Well, I always like to joke that my mom kind of illustrated me like she was very concerned about having, working and saving and living a life that one could afford, because as time passes, we have so much, it's not the same kind of problem that people had 50 years ago. No. Now we have technology that changes every year, and we need everything. And it's very easy to spend money because life changes so fast. But even though, let's say, I'm already 40, so 20 years ago, it was not so fast as it is now. She was always concerned since I was little, teaching me how to deal with money. I helped her with her bank statements since I could read the numbers. So she really got me aware that first you had to work, and then you earn something, and you should only spend based on what you earned. Even if you had a credit card that limits whatever, you still should be aware that there is a limit for everything.
What great advice from your mom, and how awesome that she was so diligent in teaching you from such a young age on how to handle money and live within your means. And do you think that living within your means has been the biggest contributor to your where you leave all these comments saying, yes, that sounds nice, but I don't deal with that? So is that why you've done so well with money, is living below your means and paying attention?
Yes, I think it just came natural. I work with a life coach, and on our second session, we talked about money, and she was very surprised because it was like how do you do that? I know how much I earn. I know how much I can spend, because sometimes people have the illusion that, okay, I have a credit card and I can spend until the limit, but I'm not really very conscious about checking my statement, because I know I have, X money, and I cannot spend X plus 10. Even if 10 is a little bit, it's still over the top, so I cannot spend it. So I do not have problem window shopping. I look at it, I find it beautiful, but it's not for me. Whatever, I go to the next one. I really do not have that kind of concern, because my mom it was really natural. It was like learning how to walk, learning how to do basic things. We always talked about that's what you have to do. You have X, so preferably you just spend half of it, and you save a little bit. But if you have to spend, you spend it. Because my grandmother was like, no, come on, don't save everything. I have something in life, enjoy a little bit. Because even the pocket money that I used to get from my grandparents was saving because I want to buy something at the end of the year, or I want to buy some chocolate for Easter. It was always like this. But it was very natural and stayed with me. I think because it was natural, because I learned from such a young age, I do not have to worry about it. It's in me. I think it helps.
I would agree with that. I am a huge proponent of teaching kids when they're younger how to handle money, because then they'll grow up just like you, being it's natural to live with less than you make and spend less and save. And but then if you wait until you are older, I think that's where a lot of people have a hard time with.
Yeah, and it becomes a painful process. You
Hmm.
know, that's what I do not have. It's just I do not think about it, and sometimes it's even worse because I do not really have that much of a control, because I just, you know, it's just like I just have it. Okay, so I spent so much. Okay, I stopped. Oh, beautiful. Yes, beautiful, nice, everything. But I spent my budget from this month, and that's it. You know, but when it's later and it's like and people start getting normal debts, you know, if you like you buy a house, you buy a car, because it's normal, it's adult stuff. You cannot say, or you pay a rent. These are things that you have to, these are expenses that you cannot run away from. And you cannot say, oh, you know, this month I spent too much money, I'm not going to pay my rent. This is not how it works. So when it's natural, you know, you have to spend so much. I have to put this money apart because I have those expenses I cannot run away from. Or let's say I have to save because I want to have a certain expense later on. So I can only spend half of what I have, and I'm going to save the other half. So, you know, I think you learn, but without being the painful part. I think that's the best one.
That sounds amazing. I know I didn't have a lot of debt, and my parents did teach me about money growing up to an extent, but I felt like when I became an adult, I had a lot more, you really do have to stick with a budget and saving more or not spending up to your limit, but like you were saying, having some extra there for saving. Now, do you actually save half of your income?
I used to. When I was in that process to save for college, I would say I had to save at least half of, and my nice to have was 70% of my income. But when I was saving for college, I was still living with my mom. So even though I helped with certain expenses at that time, internet was with the telephone line. So it was really, you had to pay the telephone and everything, and plus internet service and everything. So I helped with those expenses, but it was still different than really, you know, living your own, having to pay for everything. And even though my partner and I, we share the expenses, it's different if you have to, you know, to think, there is still this money for food, there is this money for that, and there's this money for other things.
And you're bringing up paying for school. So now, when did you start saving for school? And you're paying saving 70%. And was this when you were in high school, post-secondary?
I started working very young. When I finished the secondary school, high school, I was 19. I started working right away full time. It was a choice that I made because I wanted to study abroad. So, the options that I had did not really include some scholarship. I had tried years before, and because, you know, politics, they change what a country is, something is under development, and then suddenly the country does not change, but you lose all the scholarships. So that happened at that time. But then I said, okay, I'm going to save money, and we see how it happens. And since I started working, I started saving as much as I could. I did not really the party aspect and buying clothes every week. I did not care. You know, my thing was I want to go to college abroad, and let's save for it. So that was really a no-brainer for me. It was just saving as much as I could.
So, and you bring up an important point of you have to have a goal to be able to save that much and to put aside that much. And if you don't have that goal, would you say that it would be easier to spend the money if you didn't have a goal you're working for?
Yeah, I think it's easier because it's like everything. You work harder when you have something that you long for, or you really want. You have like the burning desire, really want that. So that gives you more energy. And let's say in my case, when I used to see my colleagues, because we were very young teachers. I worked in a brand new school. It was a franchise, but it was a brand new school, and they were all, looking cool with their new outfits every week. And I bought this and I bought that, and it's normal as a young girl. It's like, I would like that, but I have something bigger that I want. So, and then if I did not have the goal, it would be easier, like say, you know what? Well, I don't need to save that much. If I save 10%, I'm still saving, which was already something more than most people did.
Mm-hmm.
But really to have that thing like no, I cannot spend is really because I had a goal.
Now, you started at 19. How long did it take you to save up the money before you went to college? And then did you work through college, or did you have all the money up front?
I had all the money up front. So I worked for 6 years and a half in Brazil. I was not really thinking, okay, is it enough or not? Because I have to be sincere, at that time, I hoped that I could do some student job. But because I came to a country where I did not speak any of the native languages, it was a barrier in the beginning. Maybe if I came here now, it would be much, much different. But 14 years ago, it was not like that. So I tried, for when I was speaking some Dutch, I tried to work at bars, but it was like, okay. And I live at a city where they have a very specific dialect. So it was not just speaking the language, it was really understanding and being able to speak that dialect. So it was a no. So at the end, I could not really find a job that I could do, only when I started, internship, and then I started having a job, and that was something different.
So you put off going to school for 6 years, 6.5 years, so you could pay for it with cash. That's just incredible.
Yeah.
Do you feel proud of your? Oh, go ahead.
I paid for material, studies, and everything around it. I had enough of that. And my tickets to come over here, and that was all inclusive.
That just set you up for probably a great, along with all the lessons that you learned from your mom and your grandma, but not having the school debt after you graduated has probably really contributed to where you are today with being very comfortable with money and having plenty of savings. It sounds like you're still saving a lot.
So I think it's important. I never really thought about getting some kind of loan, because I was not sure how I was going to be getting a job. It was a different situation from me going back to my country or staying here, because when I came to Belgium, okay, I already had my partner, but is it going to work? Is it not going to work? Am I going to stand being away from my mom? And I'm not going. And because when you're abroad and alone, okay, I had his companion and his family and everything. I had a lot of support, but not the same as having your parents or family or your whole structure. So it was a fact. I could just say, I love everyone, I love everything here, but I miss my mom. I have to go back. So that's why I didn't want to get a loan and suddenly say, oh, and now I have to stay to pay a loan. I cannot picture that in front of me. I cannot really imagine just trying to do that. So that was a no. That's why it has to work. And for example, there was the idea of doing a master's right after college, but I said, no, that I cannot afford. So no, I say, no, I'm going to work. And afterwards, if I'm still fine about it, I would do it.
It sounds like you really, not only you had the goal to go to school, but then you also were able to think long term and say, I don't want to have to be tied to a certain job or certain place because of having to pay back loans. And I think that skill a lot of people don't have, to think long term like that.
Yeah. I think that, okay, we do not know what's going to happen to us and everything and all that way of thinking, but I'm for planning. I really like planning my life, even though I'm aware that I cannot control everything. This year was a major lesson for me. So you cannot control everything, but you have to have a goal. You have to have something in mind that I want to do that, and how do I get there? Because then you start working. If you just like swimming and you do not know to what direction that you want to go, you're going to drown. You're going to get tired and you're going to drown. That's what happens. So when you have a goal, you put that extra effort. Again, you pay the price. You're more willing to pay a certain price because you know where you're going to, and those moments when you're working for longer hours, when you want to buy that whatever and you don't buy because you'd rather save that money, or you'd like to take a vacation but you say, no, I cannot take a vacation this year, or maybe next year, or maybe in 5 years, but in 6 years I'll be able to go to the place that I want to. So it's easier. I find it easier to have a plan in mind, to have a goal and work towards to it and see what happens, but put the energy, leave it all there and do my best than just swimming and hoping for the best. I don't think it works.
I would agree with that. I don't think it works either. And to have a goal, but then also to have steps along the way, maybe paying for school is a really big deal. And I mean, I'm in the middle of paying for my husband's school right now. And I think, well, to have your mindset of doing it all up front to begin with and to wait on that's huge. We didn't do that. But for us, it's smaller steps, it's one semester at a time. It's paying for the next set of tuition payments. And so then you still are working at it, but then you break it down into smaller portions of your goal to obtain it. And I think if you're able to do that, then you're able to stay on track and actually meet your goals.
Yeah, because for example, in your case, you have the goal. The goal is getting the graduation, is the final the final certification, and everything. The course is done. But then you live from semester. So this semester I have to do this so that I can get at the end of the line. And then you go the next semester, you think, okay, I made it last time. I still need to do this time to get there. And so we proceed, not like my life, I'm doing that for what? No, for what. You want that certificate. So that's worth it. So that's how I did it. And I think that's how I survived at the end of the day, because I knew I wanted to do something important, and it all paid off.
Now, did you have any moments where you're like, oh, forget it, I don't want to, this isn't worth it, or you got discouraged and you had a hard time getting back on track, or were you always just super motivated?
For the saving, yes, I was very, very motivated because I really want that. Okay, I could have studied in Brazil, it was no problem, but I wanted that. It was something that grew in me. I wanted for so many years. I cannot tell you from the first time that I really thought about studying abroad. I think I was like 10 years old. So it was something that I wanted. Probably I could go somewhere and come back. I did not have the idea of moving out of Brazil, but that I wanted to study abroad, that was in me. So and again, I think it's easier when, for example, at least in my case, it was easier to, I did not have an income, and suddenly I have an income, so I start saving half of it. So it was not like, again, when you start later, that like, let's say you make X, and you're accustomed to spend like 90% of it, and suddenly say, wait a moment, I'm going to start saving. Oh, it is a pain. It hurts because you were accustomed to that big budget, and suddenly it's like, even if you're just saving 10% or 20% of it, it hurts. But when you come from nothing and suddenly you get something just split in two, and you get some extra money, it's okay. You go, oh, I'm still making more money than I used to. I'm still able to spend much more than I used to. But the thing is that I'm saving a lot. So yeah, I made it like this, and it worked. I never thought about, okay, I'm just going to spend everything, and no, that never happened. Never really happened.
I love your perspective on it and your motivation for it. I'm inspired, and I'm sure my readers and listeners will be as well. Now, do you have anything that you're saving for now, or are you just enjoying life with all the fruits of your labor from working so hard before?
I keep on saving. I have one yearly expense. That's me going back to Brazil. So that's my vacation. I can, let's say, I can enjoy it a little bit more because as I do not have to pay for hotel and other stuff, I can enjoy it a little bit more. So this is, I always have to think I have to have money to go to Brazil. So that's, and of course, buy stuff for my mom, and I love to, buy little things for everyone. And suddenly my 2 luggages are full of things, little things for everyone. So this is something that I like to do. But for big plans, beside that, yeah, my life changed. So now that I'm like independent, we'll see how it's going to happen. And that's also something you have to think, when I will find something, in my case, when I'll be okay to start looking for a job again so that I can start working. And so this is still a big question mark. So I cannot say like, oh, I have money, I can spend everything. It's not the case. So I always think like that. You have to save something, and there are expenses that I cannot say, okay, I do not have a job anymore, so I'm not going to pay you. It doesn't work. You still have to pay, certain things. So I'm living from day to day in terms of that.
Mm-hmm. And you bring up a really good point. Not only do we have these goals we're saving for, but if something happens, like a job loss or a medical accident or condition or something that you have to deal with and you're not able to work as much. I mean, just anything can happen. And if in your situation, it sounds like you have a nice cushion of savings. So maybe you can take the time you need to find a really good job that matches you and that you can handle. And you don't have to rush into the first thing that you need because you have to pay the lights at the end of the month.
Yes, that's true. That's true. And it can be anything. It can be absolutely anything. It can be, some kind of expenses that you have extra. A car that breaks down. It can happen to everyone. How many times you get out of you do the maintenance, you drive for 1 week and breaks, like I say, you bring that back as, but it was not in the warranty. You have to pay. You see, it happened to me 2 times that my lights just stopped working. I said, oh, that's possible. I just came from the maintenance last week. No, miss, I'm sorry, but it had nothing to do with our work, so you have to pay it again. So tires, here it's winter, so I have to change to winter tires. So I have a very light car. I do not drive in the snow with normal tires anymore. So it can happen. But what do you do? He's going to say, no, I cannot change the lights, and then I get a fine on the street because my lights don't work. No, it's life. You have to do it. So you have to have some saved money so that you can pay for other things, I think.
I am I love it. I just love how you are so savings minded and you're goal oriented. Plus, you want to provide for yourself, when those emergencies happen and not have to run up debt for the tires or for whatever. I think it's fantastic how I'm so inspired. I'm so thankful that you came on for this interview. Now, we just have a couple more minutes, but do you have, what tips do you have for people who who haven't started saving when they were super young like you did, or just what kind of advice can you give my readers to help them with their journey in their finances?
I think that the first thing you have to do is really see what are those expenses that you have to have. It can be rent, it can be, paying a loan or something that you eat, and normal expenses, house, telephone, and all the things you have to put all on paper, and how much is over from your income. And then but really the basic, I'm not talking about buying clothes every week or going out for dinner every week. No, really, really those things that you really have to pay. And based on that, you can say, oh, if those expenses are 60% of my income, start just saving 10% so that you do not feel the pain. It's okay, nobody died, 20%. And you go there so that you have, a good chance of saving, let's say, a lot of money, or a lot more than sometimes people think they can, just because they put on paper and they visualize everything and they know this is my commitment, this I have to, it's not optional, and all the rest, okay. And let's say, okay, on your birthday, you can buy something more. Or if you say, instead of buying clothes every week, I buy once a month, or I buy something for X money, and you can still enjoy, not being like, I'm going to save, because we do not, when life is over, we do not take all the money with us. But because you also have to, to be realistic, have some life, but also save that you do not miss anything, and you can save and you can enjoy everything. It's really, really possible. Start slow, visualize, put everything on paper, and you build up, and soon you have more than enough to do more things that you wanted to.
I couldn't have said it better myself. I think you just summed it up so nicely, how to really handle your money well and to have money wins like you have. Now, where can we find you if readers are interested in knowing more about your journey and just who you are? And where can we find you?
I have a website, is debinshape.com. I post mainly now about personal improvement. I just realized between all the posts that I was doing, that was my thing. And mainly there, but I also on Instagram. My handle is debinshape as well. Twitter, debinshape. Facebook, debinshape. So if you find debinshape, looks like me, it's me.
And I will have all of Debbie's social handles in the show notes after the show. Do you have any last little bits to add?
I just want to thank you, first of all, for the opportunity. I'm really happy to be able to help with my perspective from my experience, and I hope that it will be useful for other people, because that's the most important thing of all, that we help people from different perspectives so that they can learn as well. And if they have questions that they can ask through you, I'll be following it up as well. And first, that's the most important. And I hope I have helped someone.
Well, you have helped me, so we have covered that one at all already, but I'm pretty sure that you're going to be helping a lot more of my readers as well. You were just so inspiring, and so I just wanted to thank you, Debbie, for joining me today and sharing your wealth of experience. And I would love to have you come back again if you have another great money win or great tips for us. And also, I just I'm thrilled to have you as a a new recent friend, and I really appreciate all you've done to help me with growing Cook with a Shoe and everything. So thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure.
And thank you all for joining me today for another mini Money Wins interview, where I showcase an inspiring story of somebody who has handled money well. You can always find me at cookwithashoe.com, or you can follow me at Cook with a Shoe on Facebook, Twitter, Google+, and Instagram. And of course, if you like this interview, please subscribe to the Cook with a Shoe YouTube channel, where you will receive notification when a new video with another inspiring interview like Debbie is posted. You can also head over to cookwithashoe.com for the show notes and find out how to get a hold of Debbie. Until next time, I'm Carissa, and I am here to serve you by showing you how to gain control of your money and reach your financial goals.